Welcome to Business Doctor. Last time we discussed about the organization's functions and departments. You would have imagined how big it is for every organization to produce or service exactly the way they want to do it, and not just for one day, for every day, 365 days in a year, and for multiple years on, decades. There are companies who are doing the business for decades. And it is not just one company, and there are multiple companies which you are encountering day in, day out. How is it all possible? What is that it is common across all these companies? Can you guess? It is very simple. It is called planning. Every company, every organization is able to plan certain things well in advance and as well as on the day. Planning is very, very important not only in personal and professional life but also in the success of every organization. Let's talk about the basic level of planning. There are two types. One is strategic, which is over a period of time and you want to achieve something. It's again on a personal or professional life or for a company. So there are certain things which are strategic in importance, and the other type is tactical or operational, which is for very, very short term or day in, day out. The purpose of the plan or the planning exercise per se, whether it's for personal or for organizational purpose, it is basically to make things or people fit for that purpose. So you could recall our discussion on the purpose, which is related to the goal which we discussed earlier, and also how that goal is mapped back to what you want to be in life, which is true for an organization, which is true for every individual. So, coming back to that perspective, you need to have, or every organization needs to have, a strategic planning as well as an operational plan. Strategic planning is basically is for a long term, maybe 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. For governments like organizations where it is big, it may be even for 10 years, 20 years kind of a thing. For normal organizations, what they usually do is for about 5 years. And for a personal life, strategic is like what you want to become or be. For that part, it might take as well as 10 to 15 years. Okay. So, strategic planning is basically a long term activity to achieve the goals. We discussed about the goals as part of the change, why you need that. So, you can't have a goal which is for yesterday or for today. So, you need to have a goal for 10 years, 15 years, 30 years down the line. So that's where your direction of thinking should go and your effort should go. So whenever there is a problem with your plan or things not going in the way you want it, don't change the goal. Just change the plan, the strategic plan or operational plan, in such a way that you reach your goal. On the other hand, the operational plan will be like short term or a medium term. Short term could be as early as 1 month or to 1 year to 2 years. And mostly these operational plans is for like tactical in nature, like certain things need to be completed. Okay, I need to buy a house, for example, or I need to complete a set of activities to make some product or services available for a particular market or to a specific customer, like a proof of delivery or proof of concept or how certain things work. Okay, so how you are able to deliver your capability, that you want to test it, which is for a very short time, or you are able to demonstrate certain things like a proof of concept. Those things could be very very short term in nature, and maybe like no short term like or it could be medium term, like it could be 2 years. So that's the operational plan, and the outcome or the measure of the operational plan is like just a completion of the task, like you are able to complete the task. And predominantly for both strategic and operational, there are tools available. These tools can be used in such a way that I mean, it might require a training as well, or it could be a simple paper pen kind of a technique. So you need to practice that tools, and if you think that for strategic or operational the tool set is not good enough, maybe you change the tool set, go for a different set of tool set, but never changes the strategic in plan. And operational plan you can deviate here and there, and but ensure that you reach your goal. Let's take a typical construction of a house. The moment you decide to build a house on your own, what you will be doing is that the first thing that will come to your mind is that how do you make up the money? What is that quantum of money you require, and what period of time all this money are required? Then who will give, whether it's a banker or some other person who can give you the loan in case if you are going for a loan. Then you need to design how your house should look like, or if a builder is offering you a out of box solution, then whether you like that or you want any modification to that, or you want to go and change the tiles, or you want to go and change the lightings, or you want to go and change the location of a room. So it could be any of those things. So all these things cannot happen on one day. So you need to plan, and there are a lot of dependencies on that. When you ask for a modification to your house, it's not that you are just going and buying some material, but you would also have a plan for procuring that money, how to get that money from a banker or someone else. So that financial plan has to run parallelly to your plan. And the moment the house is ready and you are inviting people for a celebration, then again invite itself, there are a lot of planning to be done, which is again a sub plan to that main plan. And you have to get in people, and people generally stop planning an exercise once you get into that house. But actually the you have in case you have taken a loan, your financial plan will go up to the loan completion or the day you settle your loans, which may be 10 years or 15 years down the line. So when you start building a house to the day you settle the payments to your lender, till that time the plan is in vogue. Okay, you should not feel that I have completed and I got into the house. That's where the problem comes. So like this, there are a lot of incidences where whether a house may be a big one, but there could be a lot of things which might be maybe for preparing an exam, or taking up a particular job in a company, or doing a particular job in a company. It could be any of those things, but all these things require a meticulous kind of plan. Just to dwell deep into the planning, so every plan will have a set of activities, and each activity can have another set of task or sub activity. And generally, these activities will have a start and end date, and approximately how much time, the effort it is going to take to complete that task. That's where the whole set of estimation and guesstimations, all those things will come in, but that we will discuss about in detail later in the videos coming. So you will have every task or activity will have a start date, end date, and the actual time in days or hours, depending upon the task it will take to complete. then there may be a situation or one activity may be dependent on the other activity. Okay, either the other activity is beginning or other activity is ending. So either this activity cannot start or until both the activities are completed. See, you can't get into the house till the house is complete and you get a house completion certificate from the authorities. Okay, so these both have to happen. Then only you will get the key. So like that, there are a lot of dependencies between one activity to the other activity. And for each activity is not just it need not be just one person. It could be a set of individuals, or it might be a team who can do that particular activity or a sub activity. Okay, and in case if you are going to assign to an individual, for example, and you have to what you have to think and consider is that you need to balance the resources or that individual's effort in terms of say time and cost. So, for example, if you have to appear for an exam, you can't study 24 by 7 for 30 days. So you have to plan in such a way that over a period of say 6 months or 8 months, how much of time I'm going to allocate for each of these subjects. Like that, when a task is given to you in an organization, for example, that task might take say 50 hours or 100 hours, and it's not possible for a person to start from morning to night to morning to night like that. You can't run for 100 hours. So there is a fatigue level involved for the people. There is a fatigue level for the systems or the tools or the environment which you are in. Like for example, office needs to be closed at say evening 7 o'clock, so we can't work after that. So all these things need to be considered. And one of the important thing which people generally tend to miss in terms of resource is time. Time is one of the best resource which people have to utilize. We'll discuss about time later in the series, but for now time is very very important. And I wish to bring in a concept of roll time. For example, you start and when you will complete. Okay, so that will be the roll time. Like in the schools or colleges, somewhere you will ask, okay, you start 1, 2, 3, 4, like that till the entire class is counted. That's a roll call, right? So like that, if you have to do a roll call on the activities, or if you are going to work on that continuously, is as an imagination. So that is the number of hours or days it is going to take for a task. Now it has to be split whether it is humanly possible for one person to do, or you need multiple persons, and whether there is a need for a 8 hour or 12 hour. And if it is 8 hours, so how do you break that? If it is 12 hours, should we have it in shift? All that planning element need to get into this plan, and accordingly the time for each of these resources need to be allocated so that there is no burnout, and the team efficiency, or the amount of time each team is going to do that work is balanced. It could be team or individual, so that one person doesn't work for 20 hours a day and another person works for just 2 hours a day. So that level of planning. And if you had studied in basic maths somewhere, there is a thing called CPM, critical path method, and project evaluation review techniques, where these techniques will help you find which kind of resource is having what kind of problems, whether it's heavily loaded or not loaded enough, and what task it is, etc. So there are tools available, software tools also available, or mathematically also it can be done. But now with the software tools available, it's easier to do that. So the objective of this plan is basically should have the outcome. The outcome should be measurable, either quantitatively or qualitatively, and each activity should have or a task should have a owner or an accountable person who takes the responsibility for doing and ensuring that it is done. We call them as a manager, or some kind of senior positions that we will discuss when we discuss about the teams. So sometimes what happens is that you may not like that kind of a task, but it is not always no. Sometimes no, you will get a job which you like. So there is actually there are situations where sometimes you may have to do things, but for the sake of items which are planned, you may not like it, but still it is expected of you to do that. So whether maybe you may have to give a task to somebody else also, whether you like it or not, you may have to, as part of your accountability, you may have to assign a task to your juniors or your team member. So whether you like it or not, whether if it is part of the plan. See, most students at the early stage would like to play, not to study, for example. And again, when you ask them to play, they will choose a different game to play, or sit idle or chatting. So there is always a time, whether you like or not like, based on the time and the mood and other factors which get in. So, but in an organization, it will be definitely, because otherwise, if you decide to drop off and each one is going to decide to drop off certain activity, then it is going to have a dent in the what it takes to for an organization towards that particular goal, which they don't like to be impacted. And it is not just the organization gets impacted, it is internally, again it comes back to all the employees there, which they may get impacted as well down the line. And one of the important thing in the entire planning is the financial impact. And in case you are spending your time, include your time value of money for that. If you are not an earning member, then you may not have a time value of money. If you are an earning member, have your time value of money, and use it for your planning purposes, so that you will know that in case if it is a personal thing, whether you want to do this task or that task, which is going to give what result, and in terms of importance, etc., you can take a decision. It need not be also, each task need not be also on a continuous basis. Maybe it can happen on a daily basis, or once in a week kind of a task. There are tasks which are there, so you may have to plan it in such a way that you don't get into the fatigue scenario. Okay. And whether you also consider, for example, the external or environmental conditions, for in the instance where you are going to suppose lift something physically, some heavyweight objects which you are going to lift from place A to place B, you are going to move that item from A to B. And even if you use all those tracks, lifts, and all these levers, etc., it might, body may not cooperate that over a period of time. So you should not get harmed in the process. At the same time, you need to negotiate with the planner that what is possible or what is best possible, or how do we improve without much of a human effort in that space, which is an automation area that we'll discuss again later. So that comes to this fundamental question. Okay, how is it ever possible to make a foolproof or bulletproof planning? Whether it is a personal planning or career planning, or a professional planning, or a planning for an organization, whether it's a small or big, is it possible? Okay, but the important thing is that whether it is possible or not doesn't matter. What is important is that if you fail to plan, what actually you are doing is that you are indeed planning to fail. So whether it is going to be bulletproof or not, foolproof or not, it's important for everyone at their level to have a plan. So how is it possible to have a foolproof plan? There are some techniques. At least it will give you, if not 100%, it is closer to that figure, that we will discuss in the upcoming videos. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Cheers.